Welcome in to another video with Ace Spiral. We are continuing the NFL divisional rankings for 2026. We are going to get right into it. We've already done both South, AFC, and NFC. We are going to be moving on to the East. What division, you may ask? AFC East. We are going to go on to the AFC East. We're talking the Buffalo Bills. Bills Mafia. We're talking the Miami Dolphins. We're talking the New England Patriots and the New York Jets. Starting off hot, we're going to go right into the Buffalo Bills. Again, talking about their offense and defense, positives and negatives of each lineup, the whole shebang, the whole pie. We're making our cake and eating it too with these videos. Starting off with the offense for the Buffalo Bills right away. I mean, Josh Allen is a big positive. You have a one-time MVP, could potentially win it again next year, has dropped his turnover rate down each year since I believe 2022 or 2023. So every year since then, his turnover rate has gone down. He's one of the best rushing talents in the NFL at quarterback, along with guys like Lamar and Jaden Daniels when healthy. Caleb Williams is a pretty good rushing quarterback. There's a few others that I'm not going to spend time trying to think of because we're talking about the Buffalo Bills. James Cook just was last year's rushing leader in yards. He is an exceptional running back, very good at hitting the hole. This offensive line allows them to do that very well. Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown are two maulers at tackle, and Osiris Torrance, Connor McGovern, and Alec Anderson is a good interior three. They have some okay depth at the O-line, Lloyd Cushenberry, Austin Corbett, and I think that their wide receivers, with the addition of DJ Moore, could potentially help Josh Allen out a lot. We've seen how Josh Allen hyper targets wide receivers when they are worth it, and I think DJ Moore is still worth it even though he is on the wrong side of 28. I still think he's a worth it wide receiver. He, when he gets the ball in his hands, is extremely explosive. We'll see what he does in this offense, in the Joe Brady offense, which is another big thing to talk about. How is Joe Brady going to be as a head coach now? He's not just handling the offensive side of the ball. I think that DJ Moore and Khalil Shakir together can be a huge help to Josh Allen, and I really liked the Skylar Bell pickup in the draft. I don't really know what Keon Coleman is going to be. It really seems like they are done with him already. And I like these tight ends they have in Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid, and Jackson Hawes. They're good tight ends. I wouldn't be surprised if they're running a ton of 2 and 3 tight end sets with Moore and Shakir. Because after those two, I really don't know if these wide receivers are worth much. Again, Skylar Bell is kind of an unknown commodity coming out of a non-Power 5 school. Moving on to the defense, this team's defensive line has been up and down. When their defensive line is healthy and they can stop the run, they're exceptional and their defense plays great. But they have just been slowly getting worse and worse. Ed Oliver has been in and out of the lineup with injuries recently. Deanne Walker has just been okay. And the rest of these, outside linebackers, Chubb signing there. I like the TJ Parker signing. I could see some of these guys panning out in this defense, turning it around. I like Terrell Bernard, and I don't know how I feel about Dorian Williams, but Caleb Elarms-Orr as an interior pickup late in the draft, I actually really like for this defense. And their DBs, I like Christian Benford, and I like Cole Bishop. I thought that CJ Gardner-Johnson not getting re-signed by any team and eventually going to the Bills is a good signing, and I think Maxwell Harrison should take another step. I'm not a huge fan of Geno Stone. He hasn't really showed it that he can be a starting caliber safety on a good defense. Davison Igbinosun is a kind of a flyer guy out of Ohio State, and I think that they have two Kilgores. No way are these. Oh no, it has them listed twice. Oh my gosh, I thought I was tweaking. I was like, no way they have two brothers on the team. Anyway, the defense is a big question mark for me. It's been a reason why this team has been in games they shouldn't be in because they've scored so many points on offense and then their defense just kind of falls apart. Specifically in the run game. So I really am curious to see what they do going into this next year. But I'm not worried about their offense. Josh Allen's going to do Josh Allen things. James Cook is probably going to rush for 1,400 yards again. And I hope that these wide receivers and tight ends can actually be good for Josh Allen. If they want to make a deep run in the playoffs, they're going to have to. Moving on to the next AFC East team in the Miami Dolphins. Yeah, this team's going to be bad. I mean, there's there's players that I like on this team in positions that are important, but other than that, like I just think their overall talent level is so low. We have no idea what Malik Willis is going to be as a full-time starter. We've seen in the Packers offense him look good, but every quarterback that's played under Matt LaFleur has looked good so far as they've played. It's kind of like the same thing with Kevin O'Connell. Like we don't know if it's a quarterback thing or if it's a coordinator thing. I love Devon Achan, however you say it, but the problem with him is he has been injured a little bit. He's not the biggest guy, but get him the ball out in space. Like if you have him in fantasy, you are golden. This wide receiver core, Malik Washington, Jalen Tolbert, and Tutu Atwell, talk about trivia names 5 years down the road, like who was on this team. That's exactly what this is going to be. Same with tight end, like Greg Dulcich and Will Kakmarek. Like, again, names that are going to be question marks in trivia games 5 years down the road. I like what they're doing on their offensive line. I like their interior three, especially if Caden Proctor does stay at guard. Aaron Brewer's a great center, and Jonah S. I can't say his name for the life of me. Yeah, I'm not even going to try that. Their offensive line is building. I think they're starting to do the build through the trenches and eventually move to skill positions and stuff in future drafts. I think that's the same with their defense. I like Chop Robinson when he came out. Same with Kenneth Grant. Zach Sealer has been an exceptional defensive lineman in like kind of coming out of nowhere. I think he came from Ferris State. Yeah, Ferris State Division II school, and he's just been nothing but productive since he's been in the NFL. And Josh Uche, they paid him some money. He's hopefully going to be able to rush the passer opposite of Chop Robinson. So I'm really intrigued to see what this defensive line does. As for linebackers, I do like their linebackers. I like Jacob Rodriguez, that pickup in the draft. Jordan Brooks is a top 10 linebacker to me. Tyrell Dodson, again, another guy who's kind of been up and down, and I'm not a huge, fan of, but he's been semi-productive. So in a defense like this, he probably will continue. And then we get to their DB room, and it's just a bunch of no names, and it's going to be brutal. I really think like brother and I said this going into or coming out of the draft that Chris Johnson may win Defensive Rookie of the Year purely based on the fact that the other four guys that are going to be on the field are so bad, they may just never target Chris Johnson, and he may win it off of the fact that he doesn't get targeted. This team is going to be a bottom feeder, unfortunately. But if Malik Willis does show that he can be it, they have a quarterback of the future, kind of like how a Sam Darnold, like third stint somewhere else, could be final for him, and they could have him on a really good deal and continue to build out this wide receiver core in these defensive in this DB room. Like they could be they could be something. And so it's really intriguing to see what they could be if Willis pans out. But as of right now, you can probably assume where I have them ranking in this comp or in this division. Next, the Super Bowl not champion New England Patriots. They are going to have one of the hardest schedules moving into next season. Like, these teams are going to be difficult. And I don't think specifically their defense made a ton of additions. And that kind of worries me. I thought that their defense kept them in games strictly because I think Vrabel's defensive scheme is good, but they don't have these names that other teams do. What they do have is two interior demons in Christian Barmore and Milton Williams that are absolute pass rushing beasts. And if you look at NFL playoffs, if you have one or two good interior pass rushes, you're probably making it far in the NFL playoffs. And that's what they had. Harold Landry and Draymond Jones as your edge rushers. Again, like not huge names, but both semi productive. Robert Spillane, Christian Ellis, kind of the same way, like not huge names, semi productive. And then you get to their DB room. Christian Gonzalez is a superstar at corner. Kevin Byard's getting old, but still somewhat productive. Maybe he takes a step back. Who knows? Craig Woodson, I thought, had a great, I believe, rookie season. Yes, great rookie season. I thought he played exceptional and he looked really good in the Super Bowl. I wonder if he can continue to build off what he did last year. And Marcus Jones is, okay. So this defense specifically, I think they have a bunch of starter level players, but only one maybe high end tier one player in Christian Gonzalez. Moving to the offense, we have the second place runner up in MVP, Drake May, who I think is great. You can look at what I placed him on our QB rankings. I thought he did exceptional last year. He's, very good. I think the 1-2 punch of Stevenson and Henderson is going to continue for a few years. I know a lot of people want to see Travion get a ton of work, but based on what he showed last year, he is a low volume, high impact player for the time being. And Ramondre Stevenson is just more trustworthy with the ball in his hands, even though he fumbles. He does the little things right, like blocking, running the right routes, knowing when to check and release, stuff like that. And this wide receiver room is extremely improved compared to last year. Last year, you had Stephon Diggs, Kayshon Boutte, and Mac Hollins as your wide receivers 1, 2, and 3. This year, you're running out A.J. Brown, Romeo Doubs, and Kayshon Boutte. Like, you're taking your 2, moving him down to 3, and replacing your 1 with 2 way better players. Like, I love these moves in the offseason for the Patriots. I think A.J. Brown and Drake May is going to be a scary duo in the wide receiver group, and I really think Drake May could potentially have another MVP-like season. The only problem with that is they are going to be playing an extremely difficult schedule, and that takes us to their offensive line. They still have Morgan Moses, which he was getting cooked in the Super Bowl. Mike Onwenu and Elijah Vera Tucker is a much better guard duo, and Jared Wilson is. I can't remember if Jared Wilson was their guard last year. I believe he was, and they had a different center. I'm blanking on who it was, but I think that this offensive line to the right side is much improved. Where I worry is the left. I like Elijah Vera Tucker, but there's a reason the Jets did not re-sign him. James Hudson the third. Like, I don't think he should be the starter, but for some reason they don't have Will Campbell there, and Caleb Lomu is a rookie. So I think that left tackle position, I think honestly both of their tackle positions are kind of up in the air on these 4 players and what they're going to be. Going up against much better defenses, and you hope that their offensive line performs better than it did last year. People say that Campbell, they're not worried about Campbell and it was just a rookie thing or he was injured or whatever. But I hope that's the case because I think the Campbell Drake May duo would be super awesome for years to come if he does, turn out. I think Travion Henderson, if he can continue to turn into or turn the trust that Ramondre Stevenson has into his own, I think he'll be a much bigger piece in this offense, and I think that he can really take this offense to a next level alongside of these new wide receiver weapons. And you just continue to hope that Drake May takes the next step. Moving on to our final AFC East team in the New York Jets. Oh, those whiteout helmets are clean. All right. The New York Jets. If you were to only look at their skill positions in Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, A.D. Mitchell, Omar Cooper, and Kenyon Sadiq, you would be like, wow, this is going to be one of the best offenses in the league. And then you look at their quarterback and you're like, oh, Geno Smith was horrible last year. You hope that he can. Well, actually, I don't know what you hope. Do you hope that you built such a good offense around him that he still sucks and you get a very high draft pick, or one of your other draft picks from another team turns into a high draft pick? Or do you hope that he's good and this team is good and then you're just a good team? Like, is that the case? I don't know. I thought Cade Klubnik was a very good draft pick, and I thought that he should have been a much higher pick in general. I was pretty high on him coming out of the draft. I mean, for where you could be on this the past QB draft. So I'm not going to get into that, but I liked him coming out of the draft. Breece Hall signed a big deal, and he's been where people thought that he was not going to re-sign and not going to be productive. He's just done exactly the opposite and been productive and re-signed and showed that he wants to be a part of this team. And who knows? Garrett Wilson is a reception monster. He's a target monster. He just absorbs football. He absorbs balls. He gets pause. He gets a ton of passes to him, and he's a reception monster. And he's coming off an injury, so I hope he gets, is healthy. He's on my dynasty team. Hashtag no one cares about your fantasy football team. A.D. Mitchell is an extremely good athlete, good route runner, but has had drop problems, and you wonder if he can turn that around and be a wide receiver too, or maybe Omar Cooper just instantly steps in and is that slot receiver, wide receiver too, or you start talking about Cooper and Wilson as this next great duo. And then you talk about one of the most athletic tight ends to come out of the draft in recent memory in Kenyon Sadiq running one of the fastest 40s ever for a tight end. Has just been fantastic. Mason Taylor wasn't really bad last year. He's a good reception inline blocking tight end, and so I wouldn't be surprised if it's a lot of Taylor Sadiq, inline off ball motion Sadiq, get him moving in space. As for these offensive linemen, Olu Fashanu and Armand Membo, wow, these tackles are some of my favorite young tackles in the league. I think they're so good, and if the Jets are smart, they will sign them to mega deals as soon as possible. Dylan Parham's not a bad guard. Josh Myers, not a bad center. And Joe Tippmann, pretty good guard as well. I think this offensive line took a huge step and is going to be exceptional this year. And so it really comes down to, is Geno the guy, or maybe they move to Cade Klubnik and see what they got with him? Because if you have Cade Klubnik on a rookie deal as a late round draft pick, you have so much money if he hits to play with and make this team better. I wonder if this team looks much better than it has in the past. Moving to their defense, David Bailey, high, third overall pick, whatever pick he was this year. You hope that he can be what he was at Texas Tech. Will McDonald has been very good and extremely productive. Harrison Phillip and Tavondre Sweat, two just big dominant run defender, space eaters. So I'm really intrigued to see how this whole unit kind of works in tandem. You got two edge rushers, one really skinny, like fast one, and then two space eaters in the middle. Demario Davis and Jamien Sherwood, pretty good like duo, but Demario Davis is really old. I mean, he's been doing it at a high level, so you wonder when he falls off. And Jamien Sherwood has been, semi-productive since he's been in the league. So I'm intrigued to see how that duo continues. Where I move to something that I really like is this DB room. You have the terrorist in Brandon Stevens. If you ask brother, Brandon Stevens is a terrorist. Love the D'Angelo Pons pick. He is going to be a dog. You still have Azariah Thomas from last year and Nashawn Wright, who just finished in first with the in first for picks this year. Andre Cisco and Minka, like Minka's still been good, and hopefully he can stay healthy. He has lost a step, but a lot of times I wonder if safeties don't get a lot of credit on like ratings and PFF and stuff like that based on defensive schemes. And Andre Cisco's been productive and a pretty well known average starter in the league. So this team surprisingly could be exceptional, but then again it is the Jets and you're like, well, until they do it, you can't trust them to do it. So I think it really comes down to how Geno looks and how this offensive scheme looks, because last year they were abysmal. Finally, the moment you have all been waiting for, of course, because of course you've been waiting for it. You're watching this video all the way to the end, right? Speaking of, if you're still here, like and subscribe the video, comment down below what you think it's going to be, and then after I show it, comment that I was wrong, because everyone's always right and I'm always wrong. That's how internet and YouTube works. Anyway, in fourth place, I have the Miami Dolphins. I just really don't think that they have enough talent across the board. Like, they have some guys that I like. Like I said, I think they're building for the future. If Malik Willis hits, it could be good, but I still don't think they have the talent. So I have them at fourth in this division. At third, as much as I want to say I think the Jets could finish second in this division, I still think they're 1 year away, and I think it's just because their offense is young, Geno is old, their defensive line is young, and the rest of their team is old. It's such a weird dynamic. It's like they're rebuilding, but they still got players that they wanted to get to try and compete right away, because every year in the NFL you try to compete. That's just how the NFL is. It's not like baseball or basketball where you tank. And I really like the Jets' skill positions. It's just, is Geno going to be Raiders Geno or Seattle Seahawks Geno? We don't know. Like, is Cade Klubnik going to step in and be good? And then they have a rookie quarterback on an extremely short, tiny money rookie deal, and they can just spend other picks on other players. Like, who knows? In second, I have the reigning Super Bowl runner-ups in the New England Patriots. They're going to be in a they had so many close one score games that they just ended up winning. I think that they're going to be playing a much harder schedule. Like, the biggest storyline last year was the schedule. That's what they were. And so I wonder if the schedule that they're going to be playing this year catches up to them and they end up losing some games that last year they might have won in like one score game situations. And finally, at number one, the Buffalo Bills. I just think Josh Allen is the best quarterback in this division and arguably in the league. I think keeping Joe Brady, their offense is still going to be fine, and I liked most of the moves they made on defense. I wonder how their defense is going to look with these moves that they made. And I really think that just having Josh Allen is going to continue to keep them going and winning games. Some of the biggest storylines for each of these teams, the Bills is what is Keon Coleman going to be? How is this offense going to look with the addition of DJ Moore and keeping Joe Brady but losing Sean McDermott? And is this defense going to be worse without Sean McDermott? And was McDermott the only reason that their defense would be anywhat productive with the guys they had on the field, because he was like, the whole thing was he's a defensive coach, but their defense wasn't doing good and letting Josh Allen down in games and playoffs and stuff like that. And you can argue that Josh kind of threw away that last game last year, but in the playoffs, Josh Allen has been extremely productive and just run into really bad situations with his defense, and they've let him down. For the Patriots, one of the biggest storylines for this is, are they just schedule merchants, or are they going to step up and show that they, deserve to be in the Super Bowl last year? AJ Brown is a huge addition. Romeo Doubs is another big addition. Like, these wide receiver rooms is much improved from last year. And Can Drake may take that next step to win an MVP this year after being the runner up. The defense, I think, is still going to be good. I still really like the Barmore and Milton interior duo, along with the edges that they have. And I think that Christian Gonzalez could be, in running for a depoy this year if he produces. The Jets' biggest storyline is, can they not just screw it up like they do every year and not be a bottom feeder franchise like they have been the last few years? Can Geno return to Seattle Seahawks, or do they go with Cade Klubnik and let's see what the rookie has? I think that will be determined and happen based on their first 5 games. If they go 1-4, 0-5, I think you see Cade Klubnik. If they are winning, I think you keep Geno and keep rolling if he's playing well. As for the defense, they have some old players. You wonder if they can keep the wheels from falling off too early in the season or at all this season. And you wonder if the coaching staff can get this team to play better than they did last year. And obviously, it is like a completely turned around team. And finally, the Miami Dolphins. I think you really just want to see what the new coaching staff in Miami has. You get the defensive coordinator from the Green Bay Packers to be this team's head coach. You wonder if their offense is going to look abysmal without Mike McDaniel, and if Malik Willis is going to be that guy. Their wide receiver weapons are not very good. Their tight end weapons are not very good. And you really just have Devon Achane. And so with Malik Willis, you wonder if that, like, Willis is just going to be dumping down and taking off and going to be great for fantasy, but their team's going to be horrible, kind of like how Justin Fields is when he starts. And you wonder if this defense, the building through the trenches for both teams, is going to be beneficial, and they can maybe not be the worst team in the league. So Buffalo Bills at number 1, New England Patriots number 2, New York Jets number 3, and Miami Dolphins number 4. That is the AFC East divisional preseason rankings. But that's just the opinion of a ball knower. See you later.